welcome.
I don't know what this world is coming to.
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, yes, indeed. We got a special guest today. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to my man. Let him introduce himself, and we're gonna talk about the Super Bowl, y'all.
Yo, what's good in the hood, man? Good to talk to you again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. The name is Jediyank.
There you go.
For those who don't know, uh, I'm just, kind of a New Yorker that
There you go.
grew up in Europe. I grew up in Queens. Spent a lot of time in Queensbridge, so kind of wanted to give a little bit of my take on the whole Super Bowl halftime show with Bad Bunny and the rights, not only like the response but also the lead up to it.
Yeah.
And the turning point bullshit halftime show that they wanted to. You know what I mean?
Can't forget about the all white Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So yeah, just a little, just to give you your peeps a little bit of background. I don't want to say that I speak, for all Latinos, but I was born in El Salvador in the late '70s. And I'll tell you what year. But I was born in El Salvador. My mom's was 18 when she had me. My dad was 20.
Okay.
And shortly after I was born, there was a big, civil war basically that broke out.
Okay.
We had left wing, guerrilla fighters that were trying to take down, a right wing oppressive government.
Okay.
This was, during the Cold War, obviously. So the guerrillas were backed by, the Soviet Union and Castro, and of course the government of El Salvador was backed by the United States.
Oh wow.
Long story short, my parents really and the two families involved didn't really want to raise me in a war-torn country, if you will.
Yeah, so, that environment.
There was a lot of violence on the streets. There was things that were happening that just wasn't, a good way to raise a kid, I guess. So they made the choice, like a lot of families in Central America did back in the '70s and '80s, to go to the promised land.
Come live out the American dream.
Exactly. Hit that city on the hill, like Reagan said. You know what I mean? So they came. My dad came out first. Him and his family, his siblings and his moms, they came out. The idea was kind of, get a job in New York, kind of settle down, make some money, and then send from me and my mom so that we can, bring them up there and whatnot. So I came up when I was 2 years old. So, my time as a Salvadorian was just when I was, from 0 to 2. I don't remember a whole lot of it, although we did visit from time to time, like every year almost when I was a kid. But
but still had that rich history of kind of coming up in that environment, just like you said, with the kind of Civil War, the torn environment of left versus right, good versus evil, and the constant struggle that a lot of us have gone through in the history of the world. And then, like you said, came to America to try to chase that American dream and kind of build upon that in a better environment, for lack of a better term. So that's what's up.
Little bit, obviously, you come, two young people moving to a whole new land where they don't know a lick of English. They don't know the language. They don't know the cultures. They don't know anything, but they struggle to get by and make a life, and and we still here, just like a lot of other families that did it, you know what I mean, like which is why, like, I think and where we lived, where I grew up in the Astoria, Queens, which is probably the most culturally diverse neighborhood in the world.
Okay.
I mean, like, I don't know if you remember a while back, there was a thing called the Human Genome Project,
Yes, that
where
does
they
sound
were,
familiar. Yeah.
yeah, they were like studying like DNA and people's roots and everything. They actually started the experiment and the whole project in Astoria because there
Oh
was so much
wow.
diversity
That makes sense.
there. There was something like I heard. I don't remember. There was something like 6,000 different languages or something like that spoken there. Like
Yeah.
hundreds of different religions. Everybody just, all cultures. And when I was a kid, I thought this is what the world was.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look at, you know, it wasn't until later on where in my 20s I moved out and I realized, holy shit,
That's not quite how everywhere else
this,
is.
yeah,
Yeah. And see, and that's one of the important things I have always said is I think the dominant society, if you will, Caucasians, Americans, I think that's a lot of them kind of grow up on the opposite side of it, where they grow up, in these, grow up in the Midwest, they grow up in these small communities, different things like that, where they're only surrounded by people who look like them, who think like them.
yep,
And then they grow up and they go to college and then they're introduced to a more diverse background and then they start meeting these people, these other cultures, these other religions, and then they broaden their horizons. And then I think personally that's the reason why then a lot of them become more liberal, because now you're
yep,
around a more diverse culture. But then unfortunately you have a lot of conservatives who they're like, oh, my kid went to college and then they became radicalized. No, your kid gained empathy
yep,
by being around a bunch of people who were not like them. And then it
yep,
opened their eyes to what reality was, as opposed to on the flip side of it, a lot of us minorities, we grew up on the opposite side. Like, because I grew up in South Phoenix, and in South Phoenix, the great majority of it was more Mexicans, people directly from Mexico. Didn't really meet too many of the more Islander, the El Salvador, Puerto Rican, Haitians. I didn't really meet too many of them until after like I graduated from school and all that. But like growing up, it was a lot of Mexicans from various countries in Mexico, and then of course a bunch of black people, and then there was like maybe 5% white people. So it was kind of the same thing where you grow up in this environment where everyone around you is a minority, but then of course you turn on the TV and everybody on the TV is white. So then you get that introduction to white culture through what you see on TV, and then you get out in the real world, and then it's like, oh, this is the dominant white society. But again, us being minorities, we kind of grew up in a more diverse field, and that's the reason why we tend to be a lot more open-minded. I'll just kind of say
yeah.
that. So
Yeah, no, I mean that's on point, and to go a little further back too, like you mentioned, like we see the white culture in all our media, but how
mhm.
those folks that grew up in these white bread worlds, right? Like
Yeah,
what do they know of our culture? What
yeah,
they saw
yeah,
in the media? You know what I mean? What
exactly.
the stereotypes in Hollywood movies?
Yeah, and I
Um,
I even I had that conversation with my ex-wife. My ex-wife, mother of my kids, is white, and she grew up in a small town up in Washington State, where it was like one of those towns so small everybody knows each other by name. And then around when she was like 14, she moved out here to Arizona. Then that was her introduction to a more, diverse background. And she used to say that too, that she was like, I honestly can't say, like, if I stayed in that environment my whole life, who knows if I would have grew up to be a Trump supporter and be racist, because, all is what you see on TV.
yep,
And we used to have those conversations of like, we grew up watching all the same shows. We watched, Little House on the Prairie, and we watched, what is it, Full House and all those. But then also being black, I also watched Family Matters and Fresh
yep,
Prince of Bel-Air and all these other things. And so I think that's always been a bit of the difference between the cultures, if you will, is a lot of us minorities, we kind of grew up where we had our own ethnic and cultural things that we watched, but then also the dominant stuff that was on TV was white culture. So we had no problem watching that, as opposed to, I think that is the rift that a lot of white people who unfortunately don't have a lot of white friends, the challenge that, or excuse me, don't have a lot of minority friends. That's the challenge they're going through today, is they're used to everything on TV being white. But then now you get the Super Bowl last year with Kendrick Lamar, you get the Super Bowl this year with Bad Bunny, and it's like, oh my God, we're being attacked. What is all of this? They're not used to kind of being introduced to other cultures, which is much different than how we grew up as minorities in America.
Yeah, I mean, they're just they don't want to look outside. They don't really feel like there's a need for it. What they know of us is what, we were, dishwashers, we were criminals, we were people that worked in the farms.
Yep.
And there's so much more to that, right? And there's so much more to everything that who we are as a people. And this is why representation matters so much in the media.
Yes.
And it's like, and the backlash over representation is a whole other topic. But I mean, like, can you imagine just being? I call them. You're saying the dominant society. I call them the default because like that. You're the default. Why are you so afraid of seeing other cultures? Are you afraid that you're going to be replaced? You're not going to be the default anymore? Like, there's plenty of movies, there's plenty of shows where the default is the main character. Like, if you don't want to see, a Latino or Black superhero, don't watch it. Why complain about it? You know what I mean?
Just again, do what we on our side of the house have done our whole time. Like, we've accessed various varieties of media on that side and on our side, if you will. But then we just kind of went into things with an open mind, and like you said, like, representation matters. And I always I like that example of kind of the default society, if you will, because I look at that through like video games and how, like, growing up playing video games, and when in the late or somewhere in the 90s when they first started introducing the create a character, it's like, oh my god, I could create my own basketball player, I could create my own wrestler. But then it was like, when you were creating the minority character, it was like, yeah, their skin tones were darker, but it was still just like white people's hair and white people's feature. And that's one of the beauties that I see with like my kids growing up, and with the next gen consoles and different things like that, where they can create video game characters that look just like them, as opposed to us when we grew up. And it was like, it's just, we were creating white people with white features and white hair, but then we're just making the tones darker. And like you said, that was because European was the default of all those characters in those video games, in the creative character stuff, in just mainstream media.
So there's another video going around of an automated soap dispenser not working for someone with dark skin. I am a technology ethics professor, and I want to explain to you why this happens. And I mean both why in a technical sense and why in a systemic racism sense. Things like automated soap dispensers typically use infrared technology, which sends out light that is then reflected back to the sensor. If the reflective object underneath absorbs the light instead of sending it back, then the sensor doesn't trigger. So that's the technical explanation. And we've also known that this is a problem for a very long time. I've been using this as an example in my classes for at least 10 years. Now, whether we're talking about a soap dispenser or far more complex technologies like facial recognition, or even medically consequential technologies like pulse oximeters, you might wonder, how do we end up with technology that works so much better for white people? So one possibility is that during the design process, something like a soap dispenser or a pulse oximeter was only tested on white people. Another possibility is that during the design process, you know about the problem, but it's too costly or too difficult to fix. A lot of people have trouble using the word racism with this kind of thing because they think that racism has to be intentional. There's this great part in Ruha Benjamin's book, Race After Technology, where she points out that there isn't some like mustache twirling evil Google engineer and intentionally putting racism into the code. There doesn't have to be.
Yeah, so much so, right? So dominant that when I was a kid, like you mentioned that your neighborhood, that there was 5% white folks, like kind of the same for me. Like, I'll in my elementary school, for example, right? Our classroom was probably like 30 kids.
Okay.
Probably out of those 30 kids, maybe there was 4 or 5 that are just basic white kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't mean Italian or Greek.
Yeah.
Because they're ethnic. They have ethnicity. They have culture, right?
Yeah.
I mean just plain vanilla white kids, right?
Yeah.
And that small percentage, for me,
Yeah.
were still superior to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is how I viewed them.
Yeah.
You know, we outnumbered them.
Yeah.
All of us from different cultures, we completely outnumbered them, but they were the superior person in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of the kids around me, they were the ones that, they're going to grow up to rule the world. They're going to grow up to be rich. I'm just going to be a schmuck, spick, growing up.
Yeah.
That's just who I am, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not told otherwise. And then what happens there is that, a lot of us grow out of that and we realize and we find our worth and our value and our culture and everything. But then there's a lot of Latino kids that kind of stick with that white supremacy mentality. And those are the fucking worst.
Yep.
Because then they go off and they become ICE agents, they become cops, and they go into the, it's like Bernie Mac in Boys in the Hood, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like they go into these their neighborhoods and they want to impress the white person.
Yep.
So they go after their own people.
Yeah.
And it's like, that it's really just, again, the reason why representation matters. See yourself, see who you are, see who your people are in situations where white folks have always found themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And you're a part of that too. You're no less. You're no more than them. You're no less than them. You're just human, just like they are. It's a shame that the default people out there don't want that to be challenged in that regard. Like, you've had your time, man. You've had your time for decades now, centuries.
Yeah, and I've always said the issue is, and like if you're average, and of course the conversation always goes, we're not talking about all white people. We're talking about the bad ones, if you will, the racist ones that won't step outside of their comfort zone. But that is one of the conversations you have with them. They swear up and down that everything is equal and everyone's treated the same. There's no such thing as racism and all that. And minorities have an equal playing field. But then at the end of the day, that is part of the reason why there's this fear of this great replacement, because they fear that they will become the minority in this country. And the reason why they fear that is because they know how difficult it is being a minority in this country. They understand this white supremacy system that has been built where it's designed in a way where, yes, okay, you will have a Obama every so often that makes it up to the top, but that's not the great majority of the experiences of the minorities. And like you mentioned, there are some who they grow up in these environments and they continue to keep that inferiority complex, and then like you said, they become a danger to their own culture because we look at them and they look just like us or whatever, and they appear to be just like us, but they are willing to stab us in the back and harm us to make themselves look good in front of white people. And it's one of those things, not to go on a rant, and we can get into the Super Bowl in a minute, but I do a lot of studying of history and different things like that. And like one of the big historical topics when it comes to like slavery in America, and it was like, why did the slave owners in the South, why were they okay with slavery, considering that the people up north were richer, so they had more slaves, so their plantations will always make more money, they would always be the rich, they would always be the lead. And then why did the Southern slave owners, why were they okay with slavery? Because even though they did have slaves, they were never going to be able to reach the top, they were never going to be able to get to the 1%. Why were they okay with it? And the reason why they were okay with it is because while they knew that they weren't going to make it to the top, at least there was somebody else that they could point at that they knew that they were better than. And I think that same thing can be said nowadays when you have the white trash trailer park people who voted for Trump. When you have the blacks for Trump, the Latinos for Trump, and all that, they know that they'll never get to that 1%, but at least they could point at other people and say, hey, I'm still better than those people. And that is the reason why those bottom feeders of the culture, if you will, continue to act in the way that they did. And like you said, representation matters, because if you teach these kids from a young age, you can be anything. Look at all these other people who look just like you, who have become lawyers, doctors, or shoot, even, you know, entertainers, whatever. You look at these people who have become successful that look just like you. It then takes that inferiority complex out of them, and then they strive to do better, as opposed to just striving, hey, let me just get to this point and stab some people in the back and have this crab in a bucket mentality or whatever, so I can get past them as long as I keep those people down.
Oh, yeah, for real, man. I mean, it's a cycle that just something had to start for the
Mm-hmm.
cycle to end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, you know, I've heard, you know, a couple of your other episodes, and you mentioned, you know, the you know, the events that happen that maybe are the turning points, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I agree. There's definitely things like that, but there also like little things like representation in media, and you know, knowing, you know, seeing people, giving them opportunity to, you know, to, in jobs to be among other, you know, white folks, right?
Yeah.
To let them meet us, let them get to know us. You know what I mean? Like, those that live in that world and they don't really, you know, care to venture out of it. Well, I mean, we have to show that we're here,
Yeah.
and that's where that comes from. And of course, you know, of course, yes. I mean, I have a bunch of white friends that are awesome.
Yeah.
They're great people. You know what I mean? This is, I'm not saying this for all of them,
Exactly.
but it's a large majority, and and there's a pattern. You know,
Yeah.
and even the ones that are our allies, even the ones that are great,
Mm-hmm.
there's microaggressions there that they were raised
Yeah.
with, and they don't even notice it,
There's still
right?
blinders there. Yep.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And sometimes the good ones will allow you to point it out and, you know, learn from it, and then the bad ones, you'll know right away when they refuse to believe it,
Exactly.
and they're still kind of in that mind zone. There's still work to be done. You know, maybe they could be turned, maybe they could be true allies, but maybe they're just set in their ways and they just want to fake the funk, you know, virtue signal, and just
Yeah.
kind of live their life that way. Which, whatever, man. Like, do you, but don't come after us. Don't bitch at us. You know,
That's real.
it's just a
Yeah.
but
And it's funny, on a side note. I don't know if you guys could pick up the chaos in the background of the police sirens and stuff that's going on.
I hear you.
I promise y'all, it's not that I live in the hood. What's actually ironic, and kind of it goes with this conversation that we're having. The townhouses that I live in is across the street from this apartment complex. I don't know what's going on in this apartment complex, but about an hour ago, quite a few cop cars went over there, quite a few fire trucks went over there, and also some ice trucks went to the apartment
Oh,
complex across the street from me. And I don't know exactly what happened, what's going on. I'm gonna keep my eyes on the news to see what comes of it. But yeah, the utter guerrilla warfare that you guys are hearing in the background right now is as some of those people are leaving this apartment complex next door. So yes, this is the
wow.
America that we live in, unfortunately, nowadays, in Trump's America, and ICE is right across the street from where I'm at. So very timely with the conversations that we're having now and what we're about to get into with the Super Bowl, and just America, yay.
Yeah, man. It's frightening
Yes.
what it's become. You
Yeah.
know, it's very scary, man. Like it could take anything. It could take, you know, I could be pulled over for whatever reason, and you never know what happens at that
Yep.
point.
Yep.
You know,
Never know if you're going to
it's
meet
just,
somebody on a good
yeah,
day or a bad day, or just like we
yeah,
said, honestly, those race traders that we were talking about. You never know
yeah.
when one of them wants to look good for their superior authorities, and you are just the bad one on the opposite end of a bad day of one of them.
Yeah, man.
So
It's just Yeah, just literally having that in the shadow of your home. I mean, that's just scary shit.
Yeah, so probably yeah, if I get more information, I'll definitely update on the episode what happened. But yeah, that's the guerrilla warfare outside of my door right now that you guys heard in the background. But
Oh man.
but yeah,
All we
as
can do
we
is laugh.
as we talked about it, Super Bowl 60 just happened, and I didn't. The last episode I wanted to talk about it, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it justice, if you will, because this is very much so. It's a great message. It was a great halftime show, great performance. It was a lot of symbolism, and we'll get into all of that too. But this is the Latin story to tell, and then that was the reason why we had the conversation, and then I was like, hey, yeah, let me bring you onto the show so we can talk about the halftime show and have someone with a Latin background talk about the importance of everything that happened during Bad Bunny, and so we could educate the folks on the significance of a bunch of the symbolism with it.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Yeah, and I appreciate that, bro. Like, it's again, I'm gonna preface this by saying I don't pretend to be the voice of every Latino out there. I'm not, the card carrying merengue guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm not the voice of the entire Latin community. It's kind of like a billion of them out there, but this is your opinion.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. But like, I've had my pulse on the culture. I know what it is. I know these folks very well. And it's crazy to think that like it's. I can tell you right now, in my lifetime at least, right? I can't think of an event, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm serious, dead ass, man. Like, can't think of an event that has felt more unifying to the Latino community.
I love it.
Than this Bad Bunny halftime show.
I love it.
And it's crazy to think it, but the perfect storm was there for this to be that. You know what I mean? Like we've got the Trump presidency. We've got ICE. We've got shithole countries is what we are to him, and he said it out loud.
He has said it himself.
You know what I mean? Like, and we're seeing our people being rounded up and taken, whether it's whether they're legal or illegal, which I fucking hate those terms. Like, no human being is illegal.
Yeah, we're arguing over imaginary lines. They're imaginary lines that people made up that we are labeling people as legal or not legal based off of imaginary fucking lines.
Yeah. Mind you, Jesus Christ himself wasn't a fan of borders, okay? And like, here we are, like, protecting what? What are we doing? We're getting rounded up in places like LA and Minnesota and all these big cities all around the country. We're seeing all the violence. We're seeing all the protests and everything. And now, the NFL, while all of this is happening, they announced that, Bad Bunny will be the Super Bowl halftime performance, and immediately the right react.
Immediately.
Like I don't even think they finished saying the word bunny and they were already, bitching on social media and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like it's, and then, well, we got to hear Spanish, blah, 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 a Spanish singer and all this bullshit. Bad Bunny went on SNL, after, he was already announced. And during an SNL monologue, which is fucking comedy, okay? It's a joke, people, all right? He goes and he says...
Anyways, you might not know these, but I'm doing the Super Bowl halftime show. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy, and I think everyone is happy about it. Even Fox News.
Bad Bunny is my favorite musician, and he should be the next president.
Thank you. Wow, thank you. But really, I'm very excited to be doing the Super Bowl, and I know that people all around the world who love my music are also happy, especialmente todos los latinos. Todos los latinos y las latinas en el mundo entero y aquí en los Estados Unidos, todas las personas que han trabajado para abrir puertas, más que un logro mío, más que un logro mío, es un logro de todos, demostrando que nuestra huella y nuestra aportación en este país nadie nunca la podrá sacar ni borrar. And if you didn't understand what I just said, you have 4 months to learn. We have a great show for you tonight.
And holy shit, did they take that seriously?
Love it. And what's hilarious with that is it's a lot of, I talk a lot about a lot of cognitive dissonance that happens on that side. And it's amazing that over the past 10 years or so, they complained about cancel culture. They complained about people on the left not understanding jokes. They don't get a jokes. They don't understand jokes, dark humor. You guys are trying to kill comedy, so on and so forth. And then here you are, you get Bad Bunny who cracks a joke and they don't get the joke. And now it's like, oh my God, this is an attack on America. And English is the official American language, and there is no fucking official American language.
Yep. None. There's zero official language of this country, but Bad Bunny now wants us all to speak Spanish. The horror.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
the horror.
The other thing I saw a bunch of them complain about, and I don't have a bunch of background on this, but I know that there's a music video that Bad Bunny has where he was in a dress. And then that was the other thing that they kind of turned this whole thing into, is that he was going to get up there, he was going to be in a dress, and they, of course, you know, the right is attacking the transgender community a ton right now. They were like, he's going to get up there and he's going to be speaking Spanish and in a dress. It was just a right-wingers, you know, perfect nightmare of you get trans and cross dressers and drag shows and Spanish all in one. It was their worst nightmare.
Yep. Fuck, imagine that. Holy shit. I mean, the fucking horror, man. and I forgot who it was. It was some Fox News chick who was like, you know, oh, when, you know, I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl halftime show. When Bad Bunny comes on, I'm going to turn the TV off and I'm going to go right for my guacamole.
Oh, my God. And again, like that is the part that is maddening. And like some of the videos, you know, a bunch of videos came out too. You had mentioned earlier about how they had the Turning Point halftime show, and the Turning Point halftime show was basically kind of the right wing getting a bunch of country singers and Kid Rock together so they could have basically an all white, you know, show. They don't like when we bring up race, but that's literally what they did. Was they went out and got a whole bunch of white people, because quite frankly, if the point that they had was to have a show to counter what was going on with the halftime show, they just got Nicki Minaj, who is one of the biggest rappers in the world. She could have performed during their halftime show, but they did not invite Nicki because they don't want Nicki as an entertainer. They just want her as a puppet, as a face piece or whatever. And that's the reason why they went with Kid Rock and some of the rock and roll people. But I say all that to say that, yeah, there was a bunch of videos during the halftime show of people who were switching channels. There was a video I saw on TikTok of Whiskey Row, which is in downtown Gilbert, and it's kind of like they do like country music and they do a bunch of stuff, but it is a very popular club in downtown Gilbert. And some people had got video recordings of during their halftime show. They changed the channel over there to the Turning Point show. And then there was another one, and I wish I could remember the guy's name, but at the end of the day, I don't really want to celebrate or promote him or anything. But there was a guy who also, there was a video that went viral. He was a restaurant owner, and during halftime halftime, he switched the channel over to the Turning Point show. And the irony of it is it was a white man who owns a Mexican food restaurant. And during the halftime show, he refused to let Bad Bunny play and he switched over. And just the irony in that, you own a Latino restaurant and refuse to show this Latin artist perform during the halftime show.
Yeah. It's the irony is so fucking palpable, and like, you know, they love our food.
Yep.
They love our women.
Yep. Love them.
They hate us.
Yep.
And it's like you know, it's like y'all lack of culture is not our fault. Okay.
Yes.
Like, you know, it's not our fault. Like, you know, I dare you to, you know, you hate us so much. Don't go to Taco Tuesday, man. Don't drink your margaritas. Yeah. Don't, you know what I mean? Don't get drunk off tequila or Dos Equis or whatever. Like,
yeah. And let's
stick to your brands.
And let's not
see how you like it.
Let's not get into the names of the cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco and hell, Mar-a-Lago. Let's not get into all of these and how all the Latin influence and all of these various items. Like,
and then, you know, talking about Turning Point, I do want to get into specifics on the Turning Point show, but I'll save that for after the, you know, kind of want to go through the actual Bad Bunny performance. But yeah, man, like it's ridiculous that there was even a need for them to create the alternate. I mean, there's no longer dog whistles anymore.
Oh no,
you know what I mean? Like
it's right in your face.
It's now full on. Yeah, it's now full on fucking bullhorns. Yeah, and they don't. And there's no shame.
No shame at all.
You know, like,
it's full on white supremacy on mainstream TV nowadays.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, man, it's really sad, and the way out of it, right? The way out of it is to start is do the like you've mentioned before, you know, the you know, for lack of a better word, the turning point events of, you know, that happen in the country where we start to see, you know, the white people get involved. And I'm sorry to say this, but we need y'all. And like we need them, and, you know, you know, like you know, the two killings in Minneapolis, right? Like, it's great that you guys are coming out and you're protesting, but it's not like we haven't told y'all this was happening since you know,
since the beginning of time.
Marvin Gaye,
and
dude,
and that's the reason why it's important for them, and just in general, being not racist is not enough. You have to be anti-racist. And it was one of the things that's always interesting when, like, Thanksgiving, for instance, comes up. And I'm an avid social media person. I'm heavy on Twitter. I'm heavy on TikTok. I'm all over the place or whatnot. But one of the things that's always interesting when Thanksgiving comes up is you'll have a bunch of white people who have these posts about how, oh yeah, when I go to Thanksgiving dinner and, you know, I'm not going to talk to my racist uncle or my racist grandfather, or I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And it's interesting to kind of get that glimpse into their family households, if you will, because like I don't have that challenge. Like when I go to these family get-togethers or wherever, I'm not having to deal with white supremacists, if you will. I mean, it's one of those things, like you said, like we have been, you know, warning people. This has been going on since the beginning of time. And then you go back to even Marvin Gaye, what's going on, you know, having these critical conversations of what's going on, and a bunch of people kind of ignoring it. But then it really hit home with a lot of people when the stuff happened in Minneapolis, because now the violence is on your doorstep. The thing that we have all been, you know, as minorities facing in America since the beginning of time, it is now on your doorstep, and you're having a bunch of people, oh my God, what can we do? What can we do? And it's like, well, for one, we do have to call out, we should have been fighting this fight quite a long time ago, decades ago, because as I have always said, what what the government, what the powers to be are doing to the disenfranchised is what they want to do to everyone else. So if you allow them to do it to minorities, eventually they're going to do it to you. What you guys are allowing them to do to gay people, eventually they're going to do to straight people. What we allow them to do to the disabled, eventually they're going to do to the people who are able-bodied. Like they test things out on the disenfranchised, and you're next. And that's the reason why when we see someone on the disenfranchised side get attacked, we need to stand up and do something about it and not ignore it because, oh, hey, that doesn't impact me, so why do I give a damn?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I forgot her name. Was it Renee or Meg or Good, the
Renee Good.
first lady?
Yeah, Renee
Good. She literally got shot and killed, minutes away from where George Floyd died.
Yep.
Right. Like, where were y'all for that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
and it's as if I don't know. It's always one of those things to me. It's as if it's by design. It's as if the universe is putting a mirror on people, and it's like, hey, when this George Floyd thing happened, if we as a country came together to stand up and do something, then maybe this Renee Good situation, this Alex Peretti situation, wouldn't have happened. But you guys ignored it back then because the victim didn't look like you, and that is a reason why this will continue to happen because too many people don't care until it personally impacts them.
Yeah, I personally know people like on like in my social media that I've known for years that are white folks.
Yeah.
And during the George Floyd protests and all that, Philando Castile and Trayvon Martin and all these all of these people that have been killed by the system, they were quiet.
Very quiet.
They didn't say anything.
Yep.
They didn't say anything. But now they're militant.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Now they're all about it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that they're here now. Welcome.
Thank you.
But where were you before?
Yeah.
And maybe look at yourself.
Yeah.
And think to yourself, why was I quiet?
Yeah.
Right. Maybe you don't consider yourself a racist per se.
Yeah.
But you certainly weren't posting, on social media anti-police things when all this was happening.
Yeah.
But now you're anti-ICE and you're anti all this and you're anti, government overreach.
Yep. And again, we could have stopped it from getting this far if when it first started happening to people, and I think that's always a bit of what the challenge comes down to is that, we talk about the American dream, we talk about Americans, but the powers to be have done a very good job of separating us. They've done a very good job of like when, and it reminds me after the Renee Good situation happened, after the Alex Peretti thing happened, there was a video that went viral on TikTok, and it was a guy, and it was a white liberal, and he was distraught, of course, because again, those were horrible things to happen. And he had made a statement about, oh my God, it's only going to be a matter of time before they do this to a child, and justify it. And then me and a bunch of other Black content creators responded, and we were like, yeah, it is going to happen because this has already happened with the police. Look what happened to Trayvon Martin, and look what happened to Tamir Rice. These were underage Black people who got murdered by the cops, and we said, hey, look, this is a travesty. But then you have a bunch of people, oh, well, those are issues in the Black community, so I don't care. We need to stop looking at it as Black versus white, and we need to stop looking at it as straight versus gay, and look at all of us as Americans. And an attack on one American is an attack on all Americans.
And they would make these stupid excuses. Trayvon was wearing a hoodie.
Yep.
Tamir Rice was pointing a toy gun. Like this is worthy of death to y'all.
Yeah.
That's how they kind of like that's the mental gymnastics that they went through.
Yep.
To not speak out about it, right?
Yeah.
To just say, oh, well, he was wearing a hoodie. He looked like a thug or whatever. The buzzword back then was thug. Now they straight up will say the N-word.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like and they just, this is what they did. But now it's the violence is coming to them, and now they want to talk. But if that's what it takes, then I'll welcome them in. But I just hope you take some time to look at yourself.
Yeah.
And think of why you were quiet then and now you're vocal.
Yeah, and why you only care now that it impacts you. And yeah, we need to grow as a society. And like you said, that again, why it goes back to representation. And we need to understand each ethnic background and what their story is more. So then again, we could look at each other as Americans and not as these different little subgroups. And that's the thing with the Bad Bunny performance when a lot of the symbolism, kind of like I mentioned, I didn't know a lot of it offhand. It was a bunch of stuff that I learned afterwards. And like one of the things that stood out to me when in the very beginning and just with the set and how the set was designed and with the people kind of dressed up as like sugar canes. I didn't know all of that about the colonialization of like sugar and all that and how it's kind of in the same sense, I guess you could say cotton with black people and how we, went through slavery or whatever. It's kind of a same parallel with Puerto Ricans and with the sugar canes and all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, just, now to just kind of segue that into the actual performance and the show, right? We see the sugar cane and then we see the guy at the beginning who's just there and first thing that he says is "Qué rico ser Latino," which it translates to "It feels so good to be Latino." And then he follows it up with "Hoy se ve," which means "We'll show you now." And then the camera pans up, whatever. You see the fields. You go into then it transitions into the actual fields with the props and everything, and we see that Benito standing there. Opens with the absolute fucking banger Titi Me Preguntó, right? I mean, and you see him walking through this sugarcane field, but then we get glimpses of what it means, of the things that we see as Latinos in our environments, right? You get the Coco Rico cart, with the fresh coconut water. You see the old heads playing dominoes in the corner. The tios and just chilling playing dominoes, which is fucking. They do that shit all day long. He walks through. You see some honeys at the nail salon, just getting their nails done, whatever. The fucking piragua guy, that was my shit. Because man, when I saw that dude, I was like, man, take me back to New York right now, because I haven't had a fucking piragua in decades.
And what is that?
For y'all that don't, so for y'all that don't know, a piragua is just basically shaved ice with flavored juice that you pour. Kind of like a snow cone, but not as hard.
Okay.
So whenever you see Papi come out with the piragua cart, it's summertime.
You know
what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like homeboy comes out, he's ringing the bell. You go up to him, he shaves that ice, pours it in the plastic cup, and then you pick the flavor you want. My go-to was cherry.
There you go.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's grape, tamarindo, whatever. Like man, and that's like that. I saw that cart and I was like, oh man, that feels good.
That's dope.
After the piragua guy, there's in a blink and you miss it moment, right? You see there's these 4 girls standing in the corner with these cinder blocks, right?
Okay.
And he just walks by them, right? And to me that it represents in Puerto Rico and a lot of Latino countries, it's cement and cinder blocks are the backbone of the infrastructure. It's meant to last. It's meant to withhold hurricanes and whatnot. And you got your backbone of your homeland, and then you've got the women there who are just kind of sitting on them, just chilling, kind of guarding the cement. They're the backbone of the Latino family culture.
That's dope.
Like, you know what I mean? That's how I see it. That's how I haven't heard like anybody really interpret that, but I feel that that's where he was going there.
Yeah.
And then from there, like the the cement is built to last, just like a woman is built to maintain a family and a society in this culture, right? Um, I think this is a really powerful statement and something that, like, and like I said, it's really quick. You barely see it. I don't even think, he just kind of waves at him and he walks by. But, I think little things like that are very powerful.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was the thing. Every single piece of the set and every single character in their various positions, if you will, everything told a story. Like there was not a wasted second during this 15-minute halftime show.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, he walks by the keto guy and with the taco stands, which is, as I understand it, an actual real taco stand in LA.
Okay.
The Puerto Rican boxers, in Puerto Rico, boxing is huge, man.
Yeah,
like
it's huge.
There's a big subculture of boxing there. I forget who the two boxers are, but they're two, pretty famous Puerto Rican boxers.
Okay.
And then he has his little trip down Latino way, right? He to Papi selling the jewelry and out of his cart, and and he takes the ring and he looks at it. He's like, "Nah, I'm good. Like I'm not. This ain't me." So he gives it to the young couple. So all this happens, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is great." I'm already at goosebumps, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, man, this is dope. This is like, this is great." Why he's singing "Titi me preguntó," like all this shit is banging. And then, a little later on, we see Benito kind of like on a dolly, right? And his face on a camera, his face looking directly into the camera, and he says to all of us, right, looking directly into the camera, he says, in Spanish, of course, he says, "My name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, and if I am here at Super Bowl 60, it's because I never ever stopped believing in myself. And you should also never stop believing in yourself. You are worth more than you think. Believe me."
That's powerful.
That's word for word what he said.
That's powerful.
Now, what kind of fucking decrepit ass monster can hear that message
Yep.
and call it un-American?
Yep.
Right?
That is literally the American dream.
Call it trash, say that it doesn't live up to the American values of excellence or whatever the fuck he said.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how? It's you know what I mean? It's a powerful thing.
If you take exactly what Bad Bunny said, take it in English, and let that have been what Kid Rock said during the Turning Point thing, that would have been headline news about, look at this powerful statement that Kid Rock made. Look, this is the American dream. Look how American this was, what he said.
Yeah, think of every movie, every coming of age story that you've ever been told or you've ever read. The message is believe in yourself, right? This is literally what he's telling us.
Yeah.
At a time where we feel like we're nothing, man.
Yeah.
We're less than nothing. Our whole community is subjected to being rounded up in the streets. Just disgusted by the people in power. Our countries are disgusting to them.
Yeah.
Our shitholes or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that message right there, kind of as he's starting, in earnest, like his set, like it's a very strong thing at a time where we needed to hear it.
Exactly. And then another message that I didn't know at the time, but then kind of came up, or me doing my research after seeing it, was when Ricky Martin performed one of Bad Bunny's songs, and I don't know the name of that song, but I know that basically a lot of the point of that song is trying to make sure to not see Puerto Rico face the same fate that Hawaii faced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll get into that in detail too. Like,
okay,
I have the translation too of Ricky Martin's verse. It's a beautiful song.
Okay,
it's very powerful, and it ties into the way that where he chose to put that song to me was brilliant. I'll tell you why in a minute, right?
Okay.
But after, he looks at the camera and he says, believe in yourself, blah blah. He starts to sing the next, he starts to sing the lyrics of the song that's playing, and he says, "Esto es lo que tú querías," which translates to, "This is what y'all wanted."
Oh yeah.
And then what happens? We look up, we pan up, and Lady motherfucking Gaga is up
Lady
there.
Gaga.
Overseeing a Latino wedding. And this is what y'all wanted, right?
Yes.
You wanted the mega white pop star instead of me. You wanted the
Here
mega.
She is.
Here she is, and guess what? She's on my side.
Love it.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God, I loved it.
And then she goes and she sings that fucking great Bruno Mars song. She's dancing the salsa. Benito goes up there, joins her. We see this. Obviously, I know everybody already probably knows, but that was an actual real wedding that happened.
That was phenomenal.
For those who don't know the backstory, this couple, as a joke, invited Bad Bunny to their wedding, and he in turn says, "I can't make it, but how about y'all come to the halftime show?"
That's lit.
So,
oh my God.
So they actually got married on that stage. And then we see, Benito come up. He's dancing with Lady Gaga. They're dancing salsa. You see this typical Latino party going on, right?
Yeah.
It's multi-generational. Everyone is included. The kids are dancing with the elders. The adults are just hanging out. No one is not a part of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how Latino parties are, man. Like the old people will come and party with us. The 80 years old, they're dancing. They're dancing with the 6-year-old kid, And then there's a moment that I almost fucking cried when I saw it, because this was me and this was every fucking kid that grew up in a Latino household.
Yeah.
It's 4 fucking a.m. Y'all still going.
Y'all still partying.
Tired. I'm fucking tired. You use my bed so that everybody can throw their coats on it. So I can't go to bed. I'm gonna just sleep right here on these 3 chairs.
That's lit.
This is every Latino kid has gone through that.
That's amazing.
And I thought, like such a little moment like that, man, just this is who we are.
Yeah.
We party so much and we love so much and we just have fun that sometimes we're just gonna sleep on chairs, man. This is what happens.
That is lit.
Yeah, it's something that we can all relate to, right? Just little moments like that really, he made sure to put it there, and so that we all just can see it and know that he's one of us.
And real quick, that's the beauty of representation, and that's how you could tell that people of actual Latin culture are the people who put this together, and not some kind of Caucasian think piece that was like, this is what I think Latinos represent. Like you said, that struck a chord and that hits you personally because that is something that you experience, and that is something that only people of the Latin community would be able to kind of tell that tale. And that is the reason why representation is so important, to give those authentic references where you're like, man, I remember that feeling, those moments growing up, and you connect with millions across the world by doing something like that or showing something like that.
How can a good person, how can a good-hearted individual, which I believe all of us are. Yeah, I believe that we all are good. We're taught to hate.
Yep.
And we get into that, but I think at our core, we're good people. We're all good.
Yeah.
How can a good person look at that? A celebration of love.
Yeah.
Multi-generational, just dancing, having a good time with each other. Like, how do you see that and say, ugh,
it's divisive.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's it's like, he's challenging us. He's challenging them to say, this is disgusting. This is gross. I can't stand this.
Yeah.
Which they found a way to do anyway. But whatever, we'll get there. Now, after the party above, the casita, we see, it's New York time, right?
Oh yeah.
Fucking Nueva York, which is his song, his love letter to the city, starts. He jumps he gets caught, by the crowd, kind of like in the stage dive.
Yep. Okay.
We see New York City in that little thing, and I'm not talking about the city. I'm talking about the city. I'm talking about the hood.
Yeah.
Where we all grew up in, right? You see the bodega on the corner. You see the barber shop where it is more of a social club.
Yeah.
And then, there's next to the barber shop, there's fucking the iconic Brooklyn legend Toñita, who owns.
I'm glad you brought her up. Yeah.
The oldest Puerto Rican social club in Brooklyn, who has literally fought gentrification her entire life.
Yes.
And right now, that little area serves as one of the only true Puerto Rican culturally significant parts of Brooklyn, because that, it's no more. Everything was purchased out. There's no more stuff like Toñitas out there. Now it's Starbucks and Jamba Juice and all this shit, right? I mean, go get your avocado toast. Great. I want a fucking shot from Toñita. Like, that's what I want to go and play dominoes and, watch some football, like whatever. Like, that's what we're going to do. And speaking of the gentrification, right? After the whole part of the New York experience, we then see Ricky Martin, who is the absolute legend, and sings a verse that I think is probably one of Benito's most powerful and profound verses in his catalog, right? And I love that. I love that he had Ricky sing it, because, Ricky walked so Benito could fly. Really,
yeah.
I mean, he was. He was here long ago. Even the white people love him. You know what I mean? Like, living la vida loca and all that shit. Like, man, y'all weren't complaining about not knowing Spanish then.
Nope.
But you were,
they love that in the Macarena.
The bars, yeah. You were hitting up the honeys and the bars to that song. Like, you didn't care back then. I wonder what happens. I wonder what's different now.
Yeah.
And he sings. I'm not gonna sing it. I'm not gonna sing it. No way. Y'all don't want to hear that. I'm not gonna say it in Spanish because I don't want to butcher it.
Yeah.
So I'll say the English translation.
Okay.
And the song is called "Lo que le pasó a Hawaii," which translates to "What has happened to Hawaii," right? And the verse that Ricky sings goes, "They want to take away my river and also my beaches. They want my neighborhood and for my grandmother to leave. Don't ever let go of the flag, nor forget the little lie, because I don't want them to do to you what they did to Hawaii."
Wow.
Now, we talk gentrification. There's parts of Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan and Harlem and parts of San Francisco and LA that are totally have been gentrified. But here's a whole fucking state.
Yeah.
That is gentrified.
Yep.
Here's a people with a rich culture and a rich history that is now hidden.
Yeah.
It's now all a playground for white people to do White Lotus shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's why and he's pleading to his island. He's pleading to his homeland, not to a specific person, but just to the island itself. Please don't let them do to you what they did to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it's just, super powerful because they're doing to the United States right now what they did to Hawaii. This is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I've seen a lot of people say, the Bad Bunny halftime show was kind of vanilla. He didn't really challenge, the administration like we thought he did. But he for fucking sure did.
He did. Y'all just didn't get it.
He never mentioned them by name.
Yeah.
But he went directly at them.
Yeah.
Okay. Like this is a direct. There's a reason why we go from Toñita to Ricky Martin, because gentrification is a big part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. And for the line in there and the line in there that says, don't let go of the flag, which is the Puerto Rican flag, or forget the Lelo Lai. The Lelo Lai is an important part of Puerto Rican culture, which is kind of like their rhythmic, the beat, kind of like the do re mi, but it's like what they use. And
how hot is hot?
Lelo, 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 lai, lelo, lelo, lai. What does lelo lai mean? So the other day I was with my friend and she was introducing me to K-pop. And I was thinking, I was like, they should mix it with some Latin grooves in it. And then she was like, oh yeah, that already exists. And I was like, what? Put it on. And then she put this song on. Y yo me quedé así. What? They know about Lelo Lai over there in Korea?
What's good, Korea?
Claro, la canción se llama María, que destruyó a Puerto Rico. La c***na esa. So, Lelo Lai. She's like, what? What does that mean? And I'm like, Lelo Lai, I actually don't know what Lelo Lai is. There's so many Puerto Rican songs that say Lelo Lelo Lai. Lelo Lelo Lai, guayando. Here are a few. Lelo Lai, Lelo Lelo, Lelo Lai. Lelo Lai, Lelo Lai, Lelo Lai, Lelo Lai, Lelo Lai. Lin-Manuel Miranda can't make a song without it. So, all comes from Puerto Rican jibaritos, or jibaros, like our countryside folk. Basically, Lelo Lai is the traditional Puerto Rican jibaritos lyrical scat, which means, words that mean nothing. La 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 la, boom chakalaka, lai lelo lai. But this chant also exists among the ancient Spanish workers on the small farms of Castile, Murcia, and Almeria. And it may have even originated from an even older place, from the Moorish lands, because they actually sound like certain ancient sung exclamations of North Africa. Whoa! Spain was conquered by the Moors for a long time, which is why Spanish is very similar to Arabic. So Shakira's isn't her imitating a Puerto Rican jibaro, but appreciating Arab culture as a song. Is a Shakira song celebrating her Middle Eastern heritage. She's part Lebanese. Wow. Lelo Lai has quite literally made a complete circle around the world.
So yeah, man. So now, we're here experiencing in the U.S. basically what is an attempted cultural genocide. Mm-hmm. And this is, he's referencing that with his plea to not become Hawaii. You know what I mean, that's just it
was powerful too, because it was one of the things, like, I guess that's the gentrification of Hawaii is something that has been under my nose my whole life, but I didn't realize it until it was brought to light in that way. And that is unfortunately, and I want to say it's the American way, but honestly, let's be real. This is the white supremacy way. That's how white supremacy works, is that there was no original culture, if you will. And so what you do is then you kind of take these other cultures and you kind of bring them in, and then you give a whitewashed version of it, something that's palatable for them to take, but also is not damaging or threatening to white supremacy, in its whole. And so that is literally kind of what Hawaii is now. You have all these islanders and you have this beautiful, rich culture, but the point of Hawaii in America nowadays isn't necessarily it's about, hey, let's go over there, let's go have fun in this, nice environment, and let's look at these islanders as they entertain us. And then, we get to go back to America. And it never crossed my mind that that's kind of in a sense of what they would like to do with Puerto Rico is, hey, here's this other island that we can go and we can get a whitewashed version of them where we can eat their food and we can enjoy some of their entertainment or whatnot, but they are still part of the American society that then we can kind of use as entertainment, as more of a backlot, as opposed to letting their culture, kind of ring through, if you will.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's just it's telling, and it's not even like they don't even hide it, right? I mean, no one goes to Hawaii to learn about the culture, right? Maybe when you're there, maybe you see it and you become curious. And there are obviously I've never been, but I know that there are places there where you can experience their culture, learn more about it, and it's still intact, right? But the front door of Hawaii doesn't say that. The front door says, come here, go, come go to our beaches, swim in our pools, do all this shit.
Come have fun.
This is the White Lotus. This is come in here and do your White Lotus shit. And, and the first season of White Lotus, because it was in Hawaii, they actually really touched on this really well about that culture and how it's like really just like put to the back burner, but they're still there,
Okay.
And and he doesn't want that to happen to Puerto Rico, and I don't blame him, because now what is happening to Puerto Rico though, and what the U.S. is doing to them is basically ignoring. And the next part of the show, we see the power lines, and the after Hurricane Maria, the longest power outage in American history happened. And the optic that we get when it comes to American aid to a country that to an island that's our territory. The optic that we get is the fucking president of the United States throwing paper towels. At these folks who have been without power for weeks. That's the let them eat cake moment. Right?
There you go.
Mean, it's again, no hiding it. Just flat out, he goes down there, he mocks the pronunciation of Puerto Rico, the way he would say it. You know what I mean? As if it's some funny shit. Like, you can't roll your R's because you're a white guy. I get it. But you don't need to fucking.
But you don't. You have to play into it.
You know what I mean? Like this is not pigland. This is a language that's been around since before yours, and it'll probably be around after yours. Okay. And that's where we see him dancing on the power line, singing his song La Pagón, which is basically about the power outage and just the American insults basically of not being there to give them any kind of federal aid as they would have if it was a state in the continental United States. And that just just another meaningful moment where he's just chilling and dancing the power lines. A lot of people probably didn't even realize what he was saying there.
And the funny thing about it was famous far right. I can only call her an influencer because I don't know what she actually fucking does. But the chick that looks like Jigsaw from Saw, Laura Loomer.
Laura Loomer, yeah.
She tweeted afterwards, talking about that particular part. She had tweeted, "It's kind of ironic how Bad Bunny was dancing on an electrical post at the Super Bowl halftime show. Puerto Rico isn't exactly known for having reliable electricity. He could have highlighted the electrical grid crisis in Puerto Rico and done some good with his platform, but he chose degeneracy." And it's like, bitch, you missed the point.
You missed it.
That
Boy,
was the
did
point.
you miss it. Holy
That was the point. It was like, you're here and the point just flew over your head. That's exactly what he was doing. But again, y'all, I don't know. Yeah.
I missed that. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
Man, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, talk about a microcosm of the right. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they are.
They just don't get it. They don't
I
get
don't
it.
know. You know what? And I believe Laura Loomer is this stupid.
I do too.
I also, but I don't think that they all are. I think they're all calculated. They don't get to the point where they are in life by not being fucking fraudulent and hateful.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I know that they do this shit to rile up their base and their fucking cult. But damn, that's hilarious. I mean,
the irony.
She really missed the whole point. And then when we're she's finished with that song. Now we're getting ready for the grand finale, right?
Yes.
And there's a part I've seen a lot of breakdowns, influencers and YouTubers and whatever, like kind of breaking down the significance of this halftime show. And there's one little thing that a lot of them have missed, right? And he starts off, he says, "God bless America" in English, right?
Yes.
He says, "God bless America." And then the next word is "sea," and then he goes on Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, whatever, right? Starting from south to north. Now, the inclusion of the word "sea," that means, in a rough translation would be, "God bless America," whether you are Chile, Argentina. It's not "God bless America," and then this is all of us.
I didn't know that.
God bless America, whether you're this individual. Right?
Okay.
Now, I feel that is a big difference in the message.
Yeah.
Because suggesting that we're all Americans is correct, right? Semantically.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was just to kind of go back a little bit.
Yeah.
One time I was in El Salvador as a kid, and I forget who it was. It was like one of the other kids that lived in La Colonia that our family lived in, was playing like soccer with them or whatever. I remember he asked me like, so where are you from? Because he knows I wasn't from there. I was staying with my family. He's like, so where are you from? And I was like, oh, Americano. And he's like, motherfucker, we're all American. Where are you from?
You did not answer my question.
Yeah. And I was like, holy shit.
It never clicked. You never looked at it like that.
There's no word that at least that I know of in the English language that describes us as being from the United States. In Spanish, there is one. It's estadounidense, right?
Yeah.
Which basically is like United Statesian, right?
Oh, yeah, basically. Okay.
Yeah. We call ourselves American, but because the name of our country is United States of America, and obviously the short version was we're American.
Yeah.
So by default, we claim the whole motherfucking hemisphere. Right?
Yeah. Yes. The whole fucking Western Hemisphere.
Yeah. So it's like, nah, man, we're from a country in the Americas.
Yeah.
And every country is different.
Yeah.
There's significant cultural differences even throughout Latin America. Mexican culture is way different than Colombian culture. Puerto Ricans and Argentinians, way different, man. We share a common language, right? There's different dialects to it. There's different cuisines. There's different beliefs. I mean, for the most part, we're all Christian, Catholic. There's not a lot of diversity of religion, but there's a lot of cultural differences. And I think putting in that word kind of tells you that we're not this melting pot, right? It's a melting pot for me would signify that it's one big bowl and everything melts into one solid thing.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I see it more of a big ass fucking salad with many different ingredients,
I like
many
that.
different flavors, all coming together
to make this one thing. Yep.
To make the one thing that's delicious and it's greater than the sum of all its parts.
Yeah,
right?
That's a great way to put
That's
it.
That's what multiculturalism is.
Yeah.
And I know that melting pot is the term that has been used for a long time to describe multiculturalism, and especially in places like New York and where I grew up in Astoria. But it's more like a fucking big salad, like Elaine and Seinfeld. It's a big ass salad. It's all these things, all different flavors coming together with their own uniqueness to create.
I love that.
Something.
That's dope.
You know what I mean?
love that. Yeah.
And then he goes on he talks. He mentions obviously all the countries. I'll tell you, man. When he said El Salvador, I pumped my fist, just like, you know what I mean. I was like, fuck yeah,
that's dope.
You know what I mean? He goes through all of them because we're all,
we're all Americans.
Yeah, he did it. There's some countries that he left out. Most notably, I think Belize and Trinidad and Tobago, which I don't know why, but shout out to my Trinis, by the way, because man, I see y'all. I love y'all.
There you go.
Trinis are dope ass people, man.
That's dope.
I think their flags were represented there.
Yeah,
he just didn't mention it.
Yeah, it was just a miss, and when they were naming everybody.
Yeah. And he starts from the southern tip, from Chile and then Argentina. He works his way north, right? But he saves Puerto Rico for last, obviously, because
that's where he's from.
That's where he's from. And he said, he says at the end, mi patria, my homeland, Puerto Rico. And what do you do, man? What is the most American thing you can think of when you fucking accomplish a goal?
Yeah.
Is you spike that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He knew he killed it. He knew he killed it.
You just go down the football. He shows it real quick. It says, "We are all America," or something like that.
Or together we are America. Yep.
Yeah. Together we are America. Again, together we are America, but we're all individual, and it's great like that. We could be unified, but still be culturally different.
Yes.
Right. And it's that thing where people say like, "Oh, I don't see color," blah blah blah, when they try to act like they're not racist. But man, I hope you better see color, because I am a person of color.
Yeah.
Acknowledge who I am. Acknowledge, you know what I mean, who we all are.
Exactly.
And accept it either way.
Yeah.
Right. He spikes the fucking football. And then another thing that people always miss before he goes off with Debí tirar más fotos is he spikes the footballs and he says, "Seguimos aquí."
Yes.
Which means we will remain here.
Yes, sir.
And then he goes off into the sunset with Debí tirar más fotos. And I mean, if that's not a powerful way, after you spike that football and you tell everybody, this is who we are, we ain't going nowhere.
We still here. And then with the banner on the Jumbotron in the back that said the only thing more powerful than hate is love.
Yep. Exactly.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's
oh my God.
How can you look at that?
Yes.
And say, that it's in any way inappropriate, un-American, it's disgusting. People were complaining that there was two dudes grinding on each other. I'm like, man,
watching that, the second that happened, I was like, oh, that's exactly what Fox News is going to focus on. That happened for a half a second. I was like, that's what they're going to focus on. And sure enough, that was one of the things.
You don't see all these fine ass Latinas like fucking twerking their
all
ass
these
off.
big booty shaking. Y'all saw none of that. Y'all saw the two dudes grinding on each other.
I mean, I know a lot of y'all are closeted and you hate yourself for it.
Yep.
But come on.
Yep.
I mean, and then, and the Seguimos Aquí after he spiced that football is just so poignant, so powerful. A reminder to everyone, we ain't going nowhere. This is who we are. Take it or leave it. Like, but we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah. And then, but then there's the other side. And now there's the Charlie Kirk's thing, which is another big thing that has happened this year that has kind of contributed. Obviously, a big part of the zeitgeist of what we are right now is the Charlie Kirk assassination, right?
Yep.
Just the idea of them creating this alternative, all-American, quote-unquote, halftime show using his company.
Yep.
Is a firm doubling down of his racist rhetoric.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And what did they do to those of us on the left that publicly criticized him after his death?
So many people lost their jobs.
They lost their jobs. They doxed people. They, you know what I mean? But yet they call us the snowflakes.
Yep.
We're, you know what I mean?
We were the snowflakes. We were the leaders of cancel culture. We are the people who can't take a joke. And I have always said, and I think when people keep this in mind, it helps them to kind of understand what's going on with them a lot better, is when it comes down to white supremacy is a form of narcissism. It's a racial narcissism, if you will.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you learn going through therapy, if you've been in a situation dealing with a narcissist, is a narcissist will always tell on themselves. What they accuse you of, it's an admission of guilt. And so when you view a lot of things like that with what they do, it makes more sense that, it's the deflections. It's them calling us snowflakes. No, it's because they're snowflakes. They talked about us with cancel culture. No, it's because they do a bunch of cancel culture. And it can even go further, like, being African American, I can go back to, the things they said about black people during slave time. And, they were like, oh, black people were lazy. And it's like, they were the ones doing all the free labor because y'all didn't want to do the labor. And you could go even further back with, they're savages and, black people aren't clean or whatever and all that. When you go back to England and there was no sanitation and there was a reason why the Black Plague almost wiped them out, was because how unsanitary they were back then. So like white supremacy it's an admission of guilt. So whatever they say about everyone else, it's what they're telling you truthfully is going on with them.
Yeah, man. It's definitely a way for them to project to their own shortcomings, their own just failure of any type of goodness in their hearts. Like, and it's so prevalent now. And then this whole thing why Charlie Kirk was allowed to get so big. I'm sorry, but who was he? He's a podcaster who went around to debate a bunch of schmucks at colleges.
He went,
and then cherry picked what he would show on his pod. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly
all the things. And dude, like, saying the things out loud that as if he's some kind of edgy free thinker. Oh, a black woman doesn't have the same mental capacity as me. Like, dude, like, for real?
And that's the reason why, like, the Charlie Kirks, the Andrew Tates, the Nick Fuentes, all these people who are in this alt-right space, It is the promoting of loser culture. So you have these guys who are losers who just can't fucking succeed in a bunch of things. And then what they essentially do is then they tap into the racism, they tap into the misogyny, they tap into the homophobia, and then they are the brave ones willing to say the things that other people are, aren't willing to say. And then you have all these people that gravitate and listen to these people when at the end of the day, these motherfuckers are losers. Charlie Kirk, as you mentioned, he was someone who he wasn't quite successful with any of his previous endeavors. I'd heard stuff about he wasn't, the greatest college student, if you will. But then how did he become famous? By, let me go around and debate a bunch of college kids who their brains aren't, fully developed. These kids are more emotional than they are than anything. And it's like, let me clickbait the stuff going on with them. And then you have Andrew Tate, who, was a failed kickboxer. And it was like, okay, well, let me start this platform about an alpha male when he was someone who was an alpha male because he was constantly getting his ass whooped. And so it's loser culture, and it has unfortunately got into the alt-right society and has become, a subculture of MAGA, if you will. And you just have all these losers who are famous for being losers, and then you have a bunch of other civilian losers looking up to these motherfuckers. And it's unfortunate.
Yep. And so then we have the halftime show. I don't want to spend too much time on these fuckers because they don't really deserve it. But there are some things I want to highlight here that I think people who maybe have missed it or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe you missed the nuance of things because you were laughing so hard at it.
Yeah.
Because I saw a lot of influencers posting it and just fucking cracking up at just how terrible the performance was and the songs were and all this shit, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know the fucking guy's name. Some Brantley Luke Gilbert, whatever. I don't know.
Something. Yeah.
The Catch My Fish guy. Okay?
Oh yes, Catch My Fish guy. Yes.
The Turning Point USA halftime show, right? There was a guy in it, and he did a song, and the song goes, I just want to cut my grass, feed my dogs, but I can't because they're telling me that little boys are little girls. And now a lot of people are going, hey, what does that have to do with any of the stuff you just said? How did trans kids stop you from feeding your dogs and cutting your grass? And to those people I say, you're dumb as hell, you don't get it. I get it. The song makes perfect sense to me. Because every single week a bunch of trans kids break into the shed, steal my lawnmower, and run over my dog. That happens every week. You know how many dogs and lawnmowers I'm going through? And I'm bringing my lawnmower to the lawnmower repair shop, and they're going, we already told you we don't take dog bits out of lawnmowers. And I'm going, okay, so you're telling me that every time my lawnmower runs over a dog, I gotta get a whole new lawnmower? And they go, yeah, I guess usually people don't run over their dogs with lawnmowers this much. And I'm going, hey, I didn't do it. Trans kids did it. They're doing it to persecute me specifically. And they're going, well, that doesn't really sound like something trans kids would do. Don't trans kids just want to live normal, happy, healthy lives and go to school and make friends without fear of persecution? And I go, no! No, they want to steal my lawnmower. They're using their little hormone needles to break into my shed. And they're taking my lawnmower and they're sending my dogs to hell. So the song actually makes perfect sense to me.
Let me tell you something, my guy. Nobody is taking away your right to kiss your fish.
Yes.
Or fuck your truck or whatever the hell you want
your message was.
You know what I mean? He's over here going by just, this is, I'm sorry. I know that there's some good country artists out there who are on our side, but when I hear country, this is what I hear.
Yeah.
This is the shit that they say. You know what I mean? There are It's all about this is their culture: drinking beer, going in your fucking Chevy pickup truck, going to the bar, beating your wife, whatever the hell y'all
your
gonna
dog
do.
on his mouth.
Yeah. So he's going through all these things that, oh my God, he's lamenting the fact, I can't do this anymore, guys. I can't do this because I can't kiss my fish. I can't drink my beer. I can't watch my game because there's transphobic kids out there.
Yep.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I have to hear all this media and without saying it, but we know all this woke shit.
Yep.
You know what I mean? All I want to do is blah 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 and blah blah blah, and I don't want to hear it. But so okay, you're making an anti-political stance here is what you're doing. But in the very same breath, you go and you pretend that trans people don't exist.
Yeah.
He says something like, I don't want to do all this and then come home and tell my kids that little boys can't be little girls. And the fucking people there cheered for that line.
Yeah. It's horrible.
You know what, and then of course the fucking hook, right? The hook of the song, it ain't easy being country in this country nowadays. Motherfucker.
I'd literally.
You want to know what's not easy nowadays? Being fucking brown.
Yep.
Walking to the fucking taqueria, walking to your Latino market, and just minding your business, and having to look around to make sure there's no motherfucking ICE agent coming and fucking harass you.
Make sure ICE isn't kidnapping you, making sure it's a cop not having a bad day that's going to come over and harass you. And I'd literally got in a debate a little earlier today because Sean Strickland, who's a alt-right UFC fighter who's known for saying some very racist, misogynist, and homophobic shit. There's a video of his that has been going viral of just some horrible shit that he had said at a UFC competition, and at a UFC press conference as he was promoting the upcoming fight that he has. And I had responded to it. I was like, it's funny because this is the same group of people who will swear up and down that they're persecuted, and but meanwhile, they have these opportunities to get on these large platforms and say the most vile fucking shit possible, but then let someone say, hey, I believe trans rights are human rights, and that motherfucker is silenced. Like, again, y'all own all of the platforms. And y'all swear that you guys are the victims, but y'all own all of the media. You own the administration that's in office. All these social media companies are run by right-wing people. UFC is ran by someone right-wing. The WWE is ran by someone right-wing. The NFL is ran by someone right-wing. Y'all own everything. Stop acting like you're the victim.
They love to play the victim card. They love to be persecuted. They love to create all this. We are being canceled. We're being sought after. Christianity is being is being killed off. Like, oh my God, the war on Christmas, blah blah blah. Like all of this shit, they love it, man. You know why? Who pretends, right? Who loves to pretend? The people who love to pretend are the people who have not been through that.
Yep.
Because, you know what I mean? I pretend I'm a fucking, astronaut. I've never been one. That's why I have to pretend I'm one. That's why I have to pretend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I pretend I'm a fucking pimp with the ladies because I've never been one. You know what I mean? And, I probably have at some point. I don't want to sell myself short. But, you know what I mean? Like,
never sell yourself short.
Those who pretend have never been through it, man.
Yep.
You've never been persecuted, my dude. Yep. No one has ever come after your right to kiss your fish. Okay? Yep. You want to go fuck your truck and beat your wife? Go for it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Maybe not beat your wife, but y'all do that anyway. And the law enforcement does it at 40% rate for some
at a crazy rate. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like y'all do it. There's a reason why the white trash uniform is called the wife beater, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's y'all do all this shit, but then you act like you're the fucking victim of something.
Yep.
Because you cannot fathom a world where you are no longer the default.
Yeah.
You you can't give us 15 minutes on the world stage to show who we are.
Exactly.
Because that is threatening to you for whatever reason.
And it goes to that famous quote. I wish I knew who originally said the quote, but it goes back to that famous quote of when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. When you're used to being
okay.
Possibly, yeah. And it's when you are used to, privilege or whatever, as other people start to get their opportunity or whatever, you feel like you're being oppressed. And the reason why you feel like you're being oppressed because you're used to being the center of attention. You're used to being the default race. You're used to being the dominant society. And so when other people catch up, that is when, oh my God, shit hit the fan or wherever, I am being oppressed. When it's like, no, just other people are getting a chance to have their voices.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous, man. And then after this guy or whatever, and then there's the fucking, the headliner or fucking Kid Rock. Yo, I don't want my halftime show. I want to be able to understand what my halftime show is saying. Here comes Kid Rock, fucking bow with the motherfucking bang bang diggy diggy whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow. How profound of you, Mr. Rock. That is, geez, that's some fine English there, sir. I mean,
thought-provoking lyrics.
and then the fucking hilarious thing is he's clearly lip syncing terribly.
Yes.
Right. He doesn't even hide it. Okay. And then he goes on Fox News the next day, fucking on the verge of crying. Okay.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if you saw it, but dude's voice was cracking. Like he was about to cry, man.
That man was emotional.
Like the left trying to stand it. I was lip syncing, blah blah. And then he's trying to gaslight us into like we don't. Okay, yeah, maybe we've never put on a fucking alternate halftime show. We don't know the technicalities of it. But you're trying to tell us that the sync was. He's blaming his poor fucking DJ. That dude, your DJ had nothing to do with you putting your mic down and the lyrics still going and we not seeing your mouth move.
Exactly.
Okay?
And that perfectly captures that side of this braggadocious male who's really insecure and sad on the inside. You have someone who he put on a horrible performance because he's not that great of a fucking artist. And then they did what they always do when shit hits the fan and it's exposed that they're not as great as they pretend to be. They point fingers, they blame everyone else, and they gaslight society. And that's white supremacy.
Don't believe what you saw. Believe what I'm telling you happened.
Yes.
And the cult of MAGA is gonna be like, okay.
Yep.
That's exactly what happened. What you told me. No, I didn't see your lips not moving.
Yep. I'm gonna stop believing my eyes. I'm gonna believe what you tell me.
And then in that same interview, he has the audacity to say that he was on stage rapping. I mean,
not rap, homeboy.
Who invented rap? I mean, that's the $1 million question, right? You're a rapper, Kid Rock?
Oh my God!
Who the fuck invented rap? I mean, it's crazy.
It's insane.
And again, another one who just wants to feel that persecution.
Yep. They want to be the victim.
They want to show that their way of life is being threatened. You know what I mean? Like it's pathetic. It's pathetic, and this is who we allow to. This is who people look up to.
Yeah, which is sad. And one of the people I don't like shouting her out because this woman has been a horrible human being the entire time she's been famous. But ever since Charlie Kirk's assassination, she has been going at Turning Point, and she's been going at Charlie Kirk's wife, and I'm talking about Candace Owens. Candace Owens had reported that Turning Point halftime show was pre-recorded somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia. Apparently, it was like 180 to 200 audience members, but they apparently all got paid $250 to be at that event. Now, of course, I don't work for Turning Point. I'm just going off of what Candace Owens has been saying, but she has been on a hot streak with some of the shit that she has been saying about what's going on with them ever since the love of her life, Charlie Kirk, got assassinated. And so take that as you guys will, but it appears that again, that wasn't this great all-American show. They tried to pretend like, oh my God, the music industry and the Super Bowl, they're shook by how great the performances was. You guys paid for people to be there. The performance was horrible. It was only like 5 million people who watched it compared to Bad Bunny's show of like 130 million. And even that 5 million is in debate. A lot of people are saying that that's not true. I had posted a video on TikTok, which unfortunately got pulled because TikTok is American owned by Oracle now. And there's a bunch of right-wing stuff with that. But there was a video I had found online of somebody who was watching the show live, and they were a streamer, and they were showing the chat, and so it's like 5 million. The number on the screen shows that 5 million people are supposedly watching this live stream, but the chat wasn't moving.
Yeah. It was stagnant.
Yes. And anybody who does any type of live shows knows if you have that many people, that chat is going so fast, it's hard to keep up and read anything. But that chat was stagnant. Those numbers are inflated.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, even just to put stupid nonsense, people are going to chat. They're going to throw shit in that chat because they want to be seen.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of it.
That's the nature of the chat room.
No one's going to be so awed at the performance that they're just, they can't move. They're shook by the beautifulness.
I'm speechless. I have nothing to type. I'm just blown away by this performance.
Oh man.
Oh man. And then lastly, before we get out of here, I do want to make a quick prediction of so last couple years, we had Kendrick Lamar had a phenomenal performance, talked a lot about the African American struggle, talked about Uncle Sam, just a whole lot of symbolism. This year we had Bad Bunny. We have the right wing is losing their fucking mind, and the question is next year, who will perform at the halftime show? Will they continue going down this route of using minorities, and do we get like a K-pop band next year to give us the Asian story, or are we going to see the white lash, if you will, and we get fucking Morgan Wallace with a bunch of Klan members as backup dancers? Like, what does the Super Bowl halftime show look like next year?
I think I'm gonna go the K-pop route. I think it's only. I think it's only fitting.
Yeah.
K-pop is huge right now.
Yeah.
And look, let's not pretend by any stretch that the NFL invited Bad Bunny because they're woke.
Yeah.
Okay. They invited him because they want to be global.
Yep. They are not a nonprofit. This is a for-profit organization attempting to go global, and that is what the focus with Bad Bunny is, because he's the biggest fucking music artist in the entire fucking world. He's a megastar.
Now, after that, there's K-pop, who's another global phenomenon who is huge and puts up big numbers and has a humongous following.
Yep.
And it's not just in the US and in Asia, it's all over Latin America. It's all over, I've seen a lot of Latin American influencers who, they do, I don't know what it is. It's like that face dance thing where they pretend they're anime characters.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've seen a lot of Latino girls that do that.
Yeah.
And they're into it. And bro, I think that they're not going to lose their shit the way they did with the Latinos and the blacks.
Yeah.
But 3 years in a row, and we don't have fucking Maroon 5 or whatever.
No Rolling Stones, no Bruce Springsteen, none of that.
Yeah. They're going to be pissed.
But I think you're spot on. I think that's the next step is the K-pop Asian band, because like you said, that's the other biggest music genre in the world right now. And then It only makes sense with, again, the NFL being a global corporation. And it's the same thing with the NBA. The NBA is doing everything that they can to go global. And that's the reason why, the MVP for the past like 5 years in the NBA, it's all been international players.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
reason why the All-Star game this last weekend, they went with the USA versus World. Like,
Yep.
this is the result of capitalism. You have a situation where you have all these companies, they've made billions of dollars, and they're trying to figure out ways to make even more money. How do you make more money than what you're making in the US right now? You have to go global. And to go global, you need to make those people comfortable. And you make those people comfortable by bringing their people in for the halftime show. And then that's how you get eyes on your product beyond America, so you can continue to go global and maximize your dollars.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really it's to me it's the next logical step for the NFL. I think culturally, who knows where we'll be? I mean, who knows if we'll be here?
Who knows if the Super Bowl happened that year? Because by all means, it could be fucking World War III this year. We have no idea what tomorrow brings.
Exactly. If it is K-pop, I'm down for it.
Let's do it.
I'm not the biggest K-pop aficionado, but I'm not going to turn my nose down on it.
Exactly.
I'll listen. I'll enjoy it. I'll hear their stories.
Yeah, and we'll learn about them.
Yeah, and Kendrick really started this off. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we would be remiss not to really give him his due here, because he turned the halftime show into a story, right?
Yep.
He turned it into a political commentary, showed us the Black experience, showed us what what they do to the black folks.
Yep.
And really made a poignant statement, and then fucking rocked the fucking house.
Yeah. With a performance that was socially conscious, it was great political statements, and it was visually stunning and beautiful as well.
Yep.
It was a message. It was cinematography at its best, and Bad Bunny took from that and then gave us a similar situation from the Latin expression. And if this is the new direction of the Super Bowl halftime show, fucking sign me up. This is phenomenal. Yeah. Great performances, great messages, and just great visuals altogether.
Yeah, man. Co-sign 100%. I do also think that the NFL is, even though they're ownership and the commissioner and everything in the league itself is obviously right-wing leaning.
Yeah.
They're not fans of Trump. They have their history there.
Yeah.
Trump has tried for years to purchase an NFL team, and they've never let him.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there too, right? Yeah. There's a lot of little pettiness, if you will, that they're also willing to use.
And that's the best way to put it, because they are right wing, but not this new age MAGA right wing. They are the Republicans before MAGA took over. Yes.
Yep. They're your conventional people. They are.
I'm small business. Yeah, I'm small government. I'm big business, but I'm not all that alt-right bullshit that you guys are starting to bring to all of this. Yep.
I mean, and let's face it. I mean, what is it, like 80% of NFL players are Black?
Yeah.
I mean, these are the people that are making you the money.
Yeah.
So you've got, you have to show that you support them. After the Charlie Floyd thing, they've done a lot as far as like to show, Black Lives Matter on uniforms and on helmets and the end zone,
and racism. Yep.
And racism, things like that. They've done a lot of that. Now, is it real, or is it just
is it just Patcham Street? Exactly. At least it's something, and it's a lot different than. Oh no, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, at least it's there. At least it's something that the kids who follow the NFL and who look up to these players can see. And, even after all of the Colin Kaepernick bullshit, like, they still double down on it, and you got to give them their props for it.
Yeah.
Whether it's, performative or not, like it's still there. And I think that they're,
and I would rather it be, I'd rather it be there than full on white supremacy that we are seeing with the UFC right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Fucking insane. Fucking insane. But no, I appreciate it, man. I think this was a good educational chat. And I think this educated fucking, hopefully, the fans, the listeners got something from this. And like I said, that was the kind of the important part of having this conversation, and having this conversation with someone with a Latin background who's also a firm leftist, just as myself.
Fucking rebel scum, baby, all the way.
For us to have this conversation and to kind of educate people and have them kind of get a full understanding of what was presented to them. And again, this is how we grow as a society. And to use your analogy earlier of not calling it, a melting pot and, a salad, we're all pieces of this American puzzle. And, you bring us all together to make this great entree that all of us can enjoy, because all of us bring these individual, ideas to it, as opposed to the melting pot, which I think the reason why they use the term melting pot is they kind of want to burn everything into one mush, if you will, that's under white supremacy, that's kind of bland, but all, just integrated as one with no uniqueness or whatnot. So hopefully people learn from it, because I know I did. I know I'd learned a lot during this, so I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate for you having me, man. It's been awesome. It's been great. Would love to be back at some point.
Yeah,
just let me know.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely have to do another thing. And actually, it's funny too, because at first I was gonna have this just as like a quick segment. I think this will be just like its own special presentation, if you will, because I think we captured a lot of good stuff, and I really don't want to edit anything out. So I think we captured a bunch of good stuff, and I'm definitely gonna have you on again, man, and we'll talk some more leftist what's going on in society, and fight the good fight.
Sounds good, man. So gotta keep fighting. That's all we can do right now.
Man, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
All right, man. No doubt. Yeah, likewise, brother.
All right, man.
Back.
All right, good chatting, man. Stay up. All right, cool. 1.